Welcome back, Coco Crew. So today we're going to talk about time and temperature control when it comes to food safety. Now, when I was taking this exam, this definitely showed up a lot on it. So one of the things I want you guys to remember is the acronym FAT-TOM. FAT-TOM means food, acidity, time, temperature, oxygen, and moisture. And when it comes to food, bacteria mostly eats proteins and carbs. When it comes to acidity, it best grows in a slightly acidic or neutral pH. You want to make sure that you know your pH scale. Anything below 7 is more acidic. Anything above 7 is more alkaline. Time and temperature go hand in hand because bacteria grows at a varied rate when it comes to time. When it comes to temperature, it grows best between 41 degrees and 135 degrees Fahrenheit. Remember that. That's also called temperature danger zone. Next, we have oxygen. Bacteria multiplies if there is the right amount of oxygen. And when it comes to moisture, it needs a water supply in order to grow. That's bacteria. Now, when it comes to checking the temperature of your food, let's say that you have a piece of pork chop and you have a piece of steak. If it's even across, you want to put the thermometer in 3 different places to make sure that you have the right temperature. But let's say it's a uneven cut of meat and it's thicker on the left side or in the middle. You want to put that thermometer in the thickest part of the meat in order to make sure that your temperature is accurate. You also want to make sure that you're not putting that thermometer right next to a bone because that can cause inaccurate readings. Also, when checking the temperature of different meats that you may have on a grill, let's say you're cooking a steak and a pork chop at the same time, you want to keep in mind not to do cross-contamination. So they don't want you to go from checking the temperature of a piece of pork to checking the temperature of a steak without cleaning the thermometer properly. If you're keeping a TCS food longer than 24 hours, then it has to be labeled with a used by date. 7 days or less from when it was first opened, when it was first thawed, or when it was first prepared. The time that it takes to thaw doesn't count. And the time that it spends frozen also doesn't count. So a couple of things to keep in mind when you're thawing your food. Let's say that you're thawing it under cold running, safe to drink water. It takes about 30 minutes per pound of food and it cannot stay above 41 degrees Fahrenheit for more than 4 hours. Also, if you're using the microwave, you want to rotate the food as it thaws, and you also want to cook that food immediately after it's thawed in the microwave. You have to remember when it comes to food safety that animal products must be cooked to a specific temperature in order to be considered safe to eat. If you're cooking poultries like duck, turkey, chicken, or any meats and pastas, stuffed meats and pastas, you want to cook those foods to 165 degrees Fahrenheit and it has to be held there for at least 15 seconds. When you're cooking a roast has to reach 145 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 4 minutes. Let's say you're cooking beef, pork, or seafood, or anything that has been grounded, then that has to reach 155 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 15 seconds. And let's say that you have a buffet, like the Golden Corral or something, and you have hot held food. Those have to reach a temperature of 135 degrees Fahrenheit before putting it in hot holding equipment. When dealing with raw and uncooked foods, you have to have a consumer advisory somewhere where your customers can easily see it, like on a menu, would probably be best. Um, you also want to remember that you do not want to put raw and uncooked food on a children's menu. You want to have a disclosure that tells customers the food contains raw, uncooked animal products. Also, a reminder that warns customers about the increased risk of foodborne illnesses. And if you have any other questions about that, you can always check the FDA food code for more information. Just go to their website, okay? So remember when I touched on Fat Tom earlier, and I briefly spoke about danger zone. Now we're going to get into it. So reheating foods, you got to keep in mind that it will bring it through that temperature danger zone. Also, one of the most common causes of foodborne illnesses is not cooling food properly. For food to stay safe, it must cool from 135 degrees Fahrenheit to refrigeration temperature of 41 degrees Fahrenheit within 6 hours. Cool the food from 135 degrees Fahrenheit to 70 degrees Fahrenheit in 2 hours or less. Then cool the food from 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 41 degrees Fahrenheit with the remaining time before the 6 hours total. Also, when you're reheating foods, it must be reheated within 2 hours or it must be thrown away. Equipment for hot holding, let's say example for a steam table, will not heat food quickly enough and must not be used to reheat TCS foods. So you have to keep in mind, if you have a buffet style eatery, the food that you're serving has to reach the prescribed temperature before being placed in a hot held area. So going back to that danger zone, that temperature danger zone of 45 degrees Fahrenheit to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, you must remember that your TCS foods must be held at 135 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. And if they're cold, they must be held at 41 degrees Fahrenheit or cooler. Now, is it possible to keep TCS food safe without temperature control just by controlling time? It is possible. One of the things you do have to keep in mind is that foods can be held without temperature control for up to 4 hours if the food has an internal temperature of 41 degrees Fahrenheit or lower before removal from cold holding, or 135 degrees Fahrenheit or higher before removal from hot holding. Okay, so this is the end of this video, and I hope that you guys got a lot of clarification from it. We have a lot more videos to come, and we're also going to be doing a live, so hopefully you guys are able to catch that, and you guys are able to ask us whatever questions you would like when it comes to food safety, starting your own business, asking us what we went through, and etc. Until next time, all the flavor minus the frosting.